Hey Frag fam, Corbin here again from Northwest Scent. So today we are going to be doing a tag video. So the topic of the tag video is 21 questions all related to perfumery or fragrances. So it's not a fragrance list or anything like that, just questions that have like a personal touch to them but still related to perfumery and fragrances. Now who tagged me was Tyler from Simply Fragrances, really good buddy of mine. We've been talking for a while. Be sure to check out his channel down below. He's had a massive growth spurt here recently. I think he's gone up like 150, maybe 200 subscribers in the last week or two, so a ton of growth. Let's keep the momentum going for him. Again, check him out down below. And as far as who I'm tagging, I have not figured that out yet. I will after the video in editing and post-production and stuff. I'll probably put a picture of the person on screen or the people if I tag multiple, and probably link them down below as well. So that's who I'm going to be tagging. And with all that out of the way, if you want to see me answer these questions, please stick around. But first, let's roll that intro. All right, welcome back. So like I said, this is gonna be a 21 questions and answered video. These are all predetermined questions. They're all related to perfumery and fragrances and whatnot. So we're gonna just dive straight in here, and hopefully there's gonna be minimal editing involved in this video. So the first question is, have you been to school for perfumery? And the short answer is no. So that is something that sounds really interesting to me, especially getting more into fragrances. I think the idea of creating your own fragrance is really cool. I know there's lots of self-taught perfumers out there. I even have a few people that I know on Facebook that got involved in perfumery, and they have their own fragrances now and stuff. So that's really cool. As far as like going to school for it, I mean, that sounds really expensive, and I don't know of any local like fragrance schools or anything like that, or any kind of places that would have a fragrance or perfumery program. So that's probably not something that I would realistically do. And I know there's master classes and stuff that you can do online where you kind of get a taste of that. But as far as going to get like a full degree or anything like that, probably not. You know, you have to be pretty familiar with chemistry as well, at least to probably make it pretty far. And that's something that I don't have a huge background in. I'm actually an engineer, but as far as chemistry itself, that's not something that I specialize in. So for the answer, that is no, but it sounds really cool. So the next question is, do you consider yourself addicted to fragrances? Well, absolutely. I mean, I haven't even counted, but I would guess over 300 bottles at this point, and that's definitely not normal. I don't think it's a bad thing that I have this many fragrances. I mean, it gives me variety to talk about for you guys and stuff on my videos, and I never get bored of something, you know. I always have something new to wear or something that I haven't reached for months and months. So I would say yes, I'm definitely addicted to fragrances, but I don't have a problem with that. You know, everybody has their own hobbies and stuff that they go over the top with. You know, for me, it's fragrances. So yes, I'm addicted, but I don't think it's a bad thing. So the third question is, what is your first memory of wearing a fragrance? And I think it's probably gonna be middle school. I had Acqua di Gio, and actually I owned it previously. I've had it since 2007 or 8, and I started middle school in 2009. I definitely remember rocking that to middle school. I can't think of like a specific instance, like I was on the bus this time and somebody said I smelled really good and asked me a question. No, I can't think of anything specific like that, but I just do remember wearing it to school and absolutely digging the smell of it. So sorry, I guess it's kind of more of a broader memory, not something very specific, but you know, that's the best answer I have, so sorry. So the next question is, what is your first fragrance you purchased with your own money? Now, I think Acqua di Gio was a gift, so that was technically my first fragrance, but I did not buy it. The first fragrance I bought myself was Viktor and Rolf Spice Bomb Eau de Toilette, the original, and I actually got it on release. So this is back in 2013, that's when it was released, and for some reason I think I saw an ad or something going online about it. I wasn't huge into fragrances at the time, but I saw that it was coming up, and just something about it just kind of intrigued me, so I went ahead and bought it. And I was actually traveling at the time when it was getting released, and I picked it up at a mall when I was traveling out of my city. So I was able to get Viktor and Rolf Spice Bomb, and I really dug it a lot. Unfortunately, I don't have the bottle anymore. I think I swapped it off for something else back in 2019. And like I said, it was an original formula, so it had really good performance, lasted all day, smelled amazing, but I don't have it anymore. But again, that was the first fragrance that I bought, which was Viktor and Rolf Spice Bomb, the original. So the fifth question here is the oldest fragrance in your collection. So I guess you could take this two ways. You could take it as the oldest personal bottle that you have, or you could take it as a fragrance that was released the longest amount of time ago, whether or not you have a new formulation or not. So if we're talking about the when it was released, the fragrance regardless of the formulation that you have, that would have to be 4711, which I think it came out in the late 1800s, or not 1800s, the 18th century, which is the 1700s. So that fragrance is very old, of course. I'm sure it's been reformulated a bunch, and it's probably not quite the same as it was, 250 years ago, 300 years ago, whatever, but it still smells really nice, an awesome fragrance, and that's definitely the oldest that I have as far as that goes. As far as a bottle that I have, that is the oldest. It's probably an Azzaro Pour Homme. So I have a small 30 milliliter, and I do not know the exact year of release because it actually is missing a batch code, but just looking at the design of the bottle and then comparing that to photos online with bottles that are dated and such, I think it's from the 80s. So it's a cool little 30 mil of the original Azzaro Pour Homme. It smells absolutely fantastic. It has not gone to waste or anything. It hasn't spoiled or whatever. Still smells great, and that's probably the oldest fragrance that I own. So number 6 is a fragrance that you can't stand to smell, or you can't stand the smell of. Well, there's two that I can think of immediately. The biggest one is Killian Black Phantom, which is a hype monster, and I actually talked about it in a video where I talked about, I think it was 5 popular fragrances that I dislike. That is absolutely the epitome of a popular fragrance that I despise. I do not like it at all. I blind bought it about a year ago and sold it the same day that it arrived. That's how much I disliked it. I even got a sample here recently, about 2 months ago. Tried to like it, did not like it. It's not that it smells disgusting per se, but it does not smell like something that I would want to smell like, and it's super headache inducing for me. There's something going on with all of the gourmand notes working together that to me is just very headache inducing, makes me feel nauseous. And in general, I'm not a huge gourmand lover. I've talked about this before, so it kind of makes sense why it's a fragrance that I'm not hugely in love with, but there you go, Black Phantom. And then the second fragrance that would come to mind is Hassavat, which I know is very popular, and I might try and give it another go, but I've owned 2 bottles before and sold them off both times. I tried to like it. It was very chemically, to me, just very synthetic smelling. Lasted a long time, but I did not like the smell of it, and it smelled very cheap as far as quality to me. So those are 2 fragrances instead of 1 that I dislike. So number 7 is favorite food. Now, as far as a genre, it's probably Mexican. I like Mexican. We eat it here almost every single week. We have a decent amount of good Mexican restaurants around here, although probably not quite as good as down in California, of course. As far as a specific Mexican dish, that's really hard. I would maybe say fajitas, like steak fajitas. Those are really solid. I love that. Decent amount of protein and stuff, which is perfect if you're trying to bulk up, but they taste absolutely amazing as well, especially if you get it like carne asada style. Absolutely love that. So that, it's kind of hard for me to specify my exact favorite food dish, but Mexican is definitely my favorite culinary style, and I really like fajitas a lot. So number 8 is, do you prefer sweet, salty, mild, or spicy? I'm assuming this is referring to food, not fragrance. Spicy, definitely. I love spice. We have a ton of hot sauce that we use. I use sriracha on basically everything. We have some ghost pepper sauce as well that I put on food when I'm feeling a little extra spicy, but I do like spice quite a bit. Adds a nice character to your food, and that's all I can really say. I like spicy food. Last fragrance that you purchased, I think that was Jet Set by Beach Giza. I bought that yesterday, which I'm looking forward to trying that one. It's a brand new release, and it's gonna be my first full bottle from the house. So the next question, which is the 10th question, what fragrance have you been thinking of buying for a long time, but you just haven't gotten around to doing it? So it's probably gonna be an expensive fragrance, and I would have to think. I'm trying to run houses through my head. I'm gonna go ahead and say that it's Penhaligon's The Tragedy of Lord George. So it's supposed to be kind of a barbershop fougere fragrance, which has really intrigued me. So I have not been able to try it yet, although I think I'm gonna be getting a sample sent to me of it. So I'm gonna be able to finally try it. Although at this time of filming the video, have not tried it yet, but it's one that I've been interested in for probably over 6 months. I remember seeing it on a video on YouTube somewhere, and I can't remember which YouTuber it was, but it sounded really nice, and it's something that I've had on my to-buy list ever since. Unfortunately, it's really hard to find discounted. I know that it does show up at discounters every now and again, and that's the reason I actually haven't bought it, is because I've been waiting for it to show up for a really good deal. Of course, I could go buy it basically full retail right now if I wanted to, but I know I can get a better deal than that, so that's kind of what I'm waiting for. But I think that's probably my answer, is The Tragedy of Lord George from Penhaligon's. So the 11th question is, do you have a dream fragrance but think it's too expensive? I would say yes. I've really been interested in Raja Parfums Great Britain. It's supposed to be this really intense leather fragrance. That's all I really know about it. Sounds absolutely amazing. Unfortunately, discounted. It's $1,000 for a bottle, and that's not something that I'm gonna blind buy. I'm gonna definitely have to try it first. But even if I end up enjoying it, I don't think that $1,000 is like, I don't think any fragrance is worth $1,000 basically. You can look more into that, and I know it's kind of controversial, but basically in my opinion, anything over $500, it does not matter the ingredients they're using. It doesn't matter the kind of presentation you're getting. That is way too expensive for a fragrance. So $1,000 for something discounted, and I think retail, I want to say it's like over $1,500 for that fragrance. That's a lot of money. So that's probably something that I think is too expensive, even if I end up enjoying it a lot. So the next question, the 12th question, is what fragrance is the cheapest in your collection and do you like it? So I already talked about it actually. That is 4711. I have a 75 milliliter tester, and I think I paid $6 for it on FragranceNet. It was actually one of those things where you throw in a couple of extra fragrances, or just to get a little bit of more money, and then that way you can get free shipping. So I was basically trying to clear the free shipping cost on FragranceNet, and that was the one that I used. I actually do enjoy it quite a bit. For the price, it smells really nice, actually decently high quality. It does not smell super synthetic or anything. And if you're curious, it is a citrus neroli kind of Italian cologne fragrance, and it actually smells really similar to Tom Ford's Neroli Portofino, which if you did not know, Neroli Portofino actually took inspiration from 4711 when they made it. So it's the original fragrance in that kind of style, and it does smell really nice. So the 13th question is, what is the most expensive fragrance in your collection? So you can look at this one two ways, because you can look at price per mil, or you can look at just how much you paid for whatever you have. So if we were talking price per mil, that is gonna be Raja Parfums Parfum de la Nuit 3, known as PDLN 3, which if you buy at retail, it's $1,300 for the 100 mil, and if you get it discounted, maybe you're gonna pay $900, maybe $800 on a good day, but really expensive. And I actually have a 7.5 milliliter Discovery Atomizer from Raja Parfums. So that is the most expensive fragrance I have per mil. And if you're talking about just the full bottle, it would probably be Raja Parfums Amber Oud. So I know both Raja Parfums, it is a very expensive house. Amber Oud, I think the retail is like $700, somewhere around there for the 100 mil, which I do have the full 100 mil. So as far as retail pricing, that's definitely the most expensive fragrance I have in my collection. So next question, which is question 14, is does your partner wear fragrance, and is there one he or she does not like on you? So yes, my fiance does wear fragrances. She actually has a few. She really likes Tom Ford Black Orchid. She has the new Parfum. She also has the Eau de Toilette version, right? I think it's the Eau de Parfum, excuse me. She even has the body oil spray of Black Orchid. So she has 3 versions of that, really likes it. She also has Oud Satin Mood. She has some Viva La Juicy fragrances. I think she has lipstick on from Maison Margiela, and there's some others that I'm missing as well. But yeah, she wears fragrances, so she's kind of into them as well. Definitely not as much as me. And as far as a fragrance on me that she dislikes, I would have to think. Okay, so it took me a little bit to think of it, so I probably cut that out, but I do remember actually Xerjoff Mephisto. I was wearing that about a week or 2 ago. She said she did not like the smell of it at all. So that's the most recent fragrance that I can think of that she did not enjoy. So question 15, pre-pandemic, is it common or rare for people in your area to wear fragrances? I think it's decently common. I live in a metro area. I feel like in general, people in cities gravitate more towards fragrance and stuff, whereas people in rural areas don't really. But as far as people wearing fragrances, I've definitely smelled things on people around here. Even one of my favorite fragrances, which is Comme des Garçons Black, that was my signature scent for about 3 or 4 years. I actually discovered that from somebody here in Portland that was wearing it. I walked past them on the sidewalk, I think, and I smelled it and I had to ask them what it was. And I can think of other instances of smelling fragrances on people, so I think a decent amount of people around here do wear fragrances. So question 16 is, do you prefer coffee or tea? I actually like both, but I drink coffee a lot more often, so I would probably go with coffee. So question 17 is, do you wear fragrances marketed towards the opposite sex? I don't think I have a fragrance that is specifically designed for a woman or a female in my collection that I wear, but I have tons of unisex fragrances, and I have quite a few unisex fragrances that might even lean a little bit towards the feminine side. So I don't have an issue with wearing a female fragrance or a fragrance that is marketed towards females or women. I just don't particularly have one right now in my collection. But again, I don't have an issue with that. I view fragrances generally as androgynous. Anybody can wear what they want. You can't really put a gender on a specific note. So, in general, wear what you want, and that's kind of my opinion on that. So question 18 is, when traveling, do you use full bottles or decants? So I think I take full bottles. I can't think of an instance where I was taking decants with me, although it's been a few years since I've really gone on a true vacation where I had to pack decants or bottles or whatever, you know, like that. So maybe I have in the past, I just can't remember, but in general, I'll just take a bottle with me, and most of the time you can actually take bottles with you. Anything under 100 mils is fine to travel as far as I know, as far as airplanes go. So you're good with that, and that's usually what I will do. So question 19 is, pre-pandemic, do you typically get a lot of compliments on your fragrances? Well, that kind of depends who you're talking about. From people that I know, definitely, yes, my fiance will compliment me, friends will compliment me, my parents, whatever, siblings and stuff like that. As far as like just being in the supermarket, at the bank or whatever, some random stranger saying, wow, you smell amazing, what is that? Really, honestly, not that much. It's pretty far and few between. I know lots of people talk about how they get, 20 compliments every time they leave the house. I kind of think that's a little bit far-fetched. I don't really think strangers are gonna compliment you a ton of the time. It's happened to me before. I can think of multiple instances where a complete stranger did say, wow, you smelled really nice, but it's definitely not like a daily thing every time I go out. So question 20 is, do you wear fragrances when you're home alone? The answer is sometimes. I don't wear fragrances every day. It really depends on if I'm in the mood. There are times where I want something relaxing, whether it be a stressful work day or I just want to smell something, I'm just kind of craving a scent. So I will definitely wear fragrances at home, but it's not something that I wear every day. You guys might have noticed that I don't always post my scent of the day on Instagram if you follow me over there, and if you don't, follow me on Instagram. But that's because I don't wear a fragrance every single day, and there are some days where I probably forget to post as well, but in general I do wear fragrances a majority of the time, but not every single day. The last question, which is question 21, is, do you wear fragrances for yourself or to get compliments? 100% for myself. I have tons of fragrances that are not mass appealing that I absolutely love and that I rock. And that's what I really think you should do, is I think it is something very personal. It's supposed to express who you are. So just like you wouldn't wear a dress that everybody else around you maybe likes but you dislike, the same should go for fragrance. Don't wear stuff to make everybody else think you smell nice. I mean, it's a very good plus, and I think for some people, especially if they're not as deep into frag comp, maybe they just have one or two colognes and they get the most mass appealing thing they can. But I think in general, wear fragrance for you, just smell how you want to smell, because it can definitely boost your confidence. And if you're more confident, that can just, increase your aura in general. So for me, absolutely, I do wear fragrances for myself, but I do have fragrances that are very mass appealing at the same time, but I enjoy those. So every time I'm wearing a fragrance, it is for me, it's because I enjoy it. It's not because I want to smell good for others. Well, there you guys go. That was 21 questions related to fragrances and perfumery answered. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and if you did, maybe if you learned something new about me, or if you just found it helpful, I would really appreciate dropping a like just to show your support, and then that way more people can see my videos on YouTube. Additionally, if you want to write a comment, maybe just letting me know your thoughts, as well as some new video ideas or topics, that would be great too. And since you're down there doing all that stuff, if you've not already, if you could hit the subscribe button and then the bell notification, that would be amazing. That way you stay up to date on new videos whenever they get released going forward. But with all that out of the way, that's all I really have for you guys today. So I hope you have a good one. Stay healthy, stay wealthy, and smell great.